On that theme entirely, moving on to what you do now with K Radio, I'd be very interested to know how kind of K Radio came about. Obviously, you're a very large driving force behind it, and it's your baby, so to speak. But
Oh,
just
yeah, that's used a lot, that term, my baby. And it is me, and I'm it. That would maybe sound a bit, because we've got between 30 and 50 people at any one time involved, but I was always conscious growing up, been told never to boast about things.
Yep.
So I felt uncomfortable about putting forward myself. So yes, I am good at that, but not so bad now. Way back about 12 years ago, I tried to get a couple of bands going and sing with bands, but wow, maybe I was too young and naive at the time, but trying to get 5 people together just to rehearse was... So I walked away from both, never got anywhere, never done a gig, but it always was in me, I want to sing my band. So I carried on doing these entertainment nights, I'd call them. And I joined an acting club in Sturton.
Right.
And while there, one of the women said, "You'd sound great on the radio." Now, I don't think I've got a great voice. To me it sounds very... but I went, okay. And there's a local radio station called Bonnet FM in Sturton.
Right. Yep.
Don't know if you're aware of it. They used to broadcast every Christmas for a month, short-term licence. And after the first couple of weeks of really nervous, I kind of settled into it, and it took me from a night time slot to an afternoon slot. They then decided they would want to do it 24/7, so they looked into the whole internet thing.
Yeah.
But it was such a difference. They had their audience for their month at Christmas, which was Granny listen to wee Johnny on the radio kind of thing.
Yeah.
But going to internet, they lost all their... In my view, they lost all the grannies. Like, computer, how do you like that?
Yeah.
I kind of fizzled out, but while I was there, I met a guy in air, and he was a kind of computer geek. He said, "I've got my own radio station, and we just fill about with it. We don't, his friends all around the world would do a show." So just as the bonnet thing finished, that came in, so that kept me in the loop, if you like. I was doing it for home. Around that time, I was thinking, oh, this would be great to do all the time. Yeah. I was doing a gig in Kilmarnock, and it was very, very busy. And I said to the owner, "Yeah, that was a good night." I said, "I hope so." I had an advert out in the local radio station.
Right.
And I was like, "All right, how much did that cost you?" And he said, £2,000 for 5 days. And something in my head went, because I'd already been thinking, I wonder how I could do, because I was doing it at home. I thought, maybe some friends and we could all just get together and have a radio station. And I just that's how much it cost. From there I went and researched to see how businesses advertised. And the cheapest I could find was a small business card size in the local press, which was about £200.
Yeah.
So I thought, how do small and medium businesses advertise? So I've put a price band, put my business plan together. That was early 2011.
Yeah.
And I worked hard that summer. I was holding meetings in Kilmarnock, because I didn't think it'd be appealing to anyone outside Kilmarnock. And even at that time, I wasn't really thinking new music. I was just, let's play music, any music. While I was doing the other radio shows, what you do when you first go on radio, I find, is everybody plays their favourites.
Yeah.
And it depends on how much taste you've got, but you'll do that for a certain amount of shows. Then you'll repeat it. Then I went, what now? I can't keep playing the same stuff, even though there was a lot of it. So I'd been reading about some gigs that was on Facebook, kept seeing the same places coming up, and I thought, I'm going to go. But nobody would come with me, because they were all, "I don't like folk music." I said, "I don't think it is. I think it's bands." And, "Oh no, it's guys in woolly jumpers and beards." So I finally went, I'm just going to go myself. Went in, and straight away everybody was so nice, and I had some amazing musicians. And I was like, why are these people not on my TV?
Yeah, where did this come from? Yeah.
Where did they come from? Where have they been? They weren't singing folk songs, and it was stuff that should have been in the charts. Folk like Little Fire, Sean Kennedy.
Yeah.
Sean Kennedy blew me away, and now that's what 2.5 years, and this stuff is now just starting to get some mainstream attention,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I've been listening to that for over 2 years now.
Yeah.
But that ignited me, and suddenly I was like, this is what I'm going to do in my radio show. I'm going to give these people a voice.
Yeah.
And I'm not aware of anyone else doing it radio-wise, because everybody I knew was in the radio was just playing a bit of Thin Lizzy or Led Zeppelin or whatever it was, you know, U2. And I developed my whole Cheryl Scott radio show around new music, still playing an odd classic. And then I bought myself a wee Zoom recorder. Don't know if you know them.
Yeah, no, I
They're
know.
like, not the most nice looking things, but very good, very high quality. And I would start interviewing people after the gigs, in usually in air.
Yeah.
And I think they were like, oh, someone's wanting to interview me.
The press is turned up, yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And I was getting a kick out of it. They were getting a kick. And it kind of built. So I had something on my show called I actually started building my whole radio station around just my show. I was on air about 4 hours a day. And then at night time I put out the Ayrshire sessions, which are still about. I interviewed maybe over 20 people in that period. People like Tragic O'Hara, Jamie McGeechan.
Yeah.
I was also getting videoed by a local videographer, yeah, can you edit that bit?
The guy who does the videos.
Yeah, yeah, talking's not my strong point. Don't know why I'm doing radio. And he videoed some. So a lot of students here at the time, and I had a collection of about 13 of them. During that time, I was getting the whole radio thing going, and I was slowly getting a lot of interest from musicians in Kilmarnock. And 2 or 3 friends thought, look, let's do this. Then somebody said, do you want a studio? Which is something I hadn't thought about.
Yeah.
I was like, I was just going to, I have the link. I phone you up. I'm going to stop the link, you pick it up. And that's how I've done it with the other radio stations. Suddenly, a studio. So we get this old rehearsal studio in Kilmarnock, which with hindsight was a bit of a dungeon. That's what it's been kind of nicknamed, I find out now, the dungeon. But everybody loved it. It was no bigger than this room. And we split it in 2. And looking back, wow, we did that for up to December there, 2012, from a start in October 2011.
Right.
And I don't know how we managed it. Honestly, I don't. We've moved to bigger premises. It's about 4 times the size. I've actually got a desk on my own. I can do some work, and I'm like, how did we keep that going? We've done more in the last 2-3 months since moving there, and we did the whole year and a bit in the old place.
Yeah. It's fueled on passion, I'm sure.
It's very much passion, and it's cost me a few pounds to keep it going. But we've just finished our first financial year, and we don't owe anybody. There's nobody in the world we owe money to, which I'm quite proud of. I refuse to.
Good way of doing it.
Well, we could have went it into the bank and got loans of 20,000-30,000, bought all the fancy gear.
Investors coming in and
I'm looking at the walls here and thinking, wow, this would be great for our studio. It's a bit more open plan than this. And but you know what? I could, if I had to, I could shut the doors today and walk away.
Yeah.
Not going to do that, but
no.
I think that's why it's still going.
Yeah.
Though it's very, very hard. I think I'm average about 20 hours a day. I'm in the studio for any between 12 and 16, and when I go home, computers on, people come alive at night. Music people do.
As is the case. Yeah.
So I'll leave the studio any time between midnight and 3 in the morning, and still be up at 6 in the morning talking to people all over the world about music. It is wonderful.
Yeah, totally with you. Do you have so just kind of more details of what you do, what the kind of day-to-day things you have to go through? There's kind of 2 parts to this. Firstly, with your own radio show, setting up, organising for that, running that on the day, and secondly, with the station as a whole. What do you do on a day-to-day basis for that?
Well, one of the things that suffered in the whole thing, I used to be on 5 days a week when I was doing it from home and Bonnet, and the whole thing was surrounded my show, so I was contacting people I was putting together playlists, very,
Yeah.
right, that song's going to go with that song and blah, blah.
Okay.
Since starting the station, my show then started getting shifted about. Not deliberately, just we can't fill that slot. See, I was doing 2 to 5 originally. And then it would be like, we can't get anybody to fill midday to 2.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, okay, it's my set. I'll move to that slot. And what happened in the first 6 months, I moved so often, I kind of lost my core audience. Because they're still there, but they're like, we don't know when you're on.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to stabilise that now with the 6 to 8 slot that I do. And I'm slowly building an audience again. But I had whole streets in Australia listening to me. In America, I mean, just last night's show, I had people from Florida, New York, Indianapolis, Toronto, Texas, California, all listening live, and it's such a kick. And that is now, I see that now building again, where it was maybe even 2 years ago, where I had this string of people around the world. It's one of those pinch myself. There's someone in South Africa listening to me and liking it and talking to me, and that's the wonders of the internet. It's allowed someone like me to do with this. I mean, 10 years ago, even, forget it. You had to get into Clyde, West Sound, BBC. Just forget it. Not saying that I'm ever going to get to these places, but it's allowed a freedom that probably my generation ever envisaged, because it was a never world. Pop stars and radio stars and stuff were, whoa, they're up there.
You just look like there's no way of getting there.
There's no way. There was no path no path at all to get there. Now, I had a filmmaker in last night. I don't think he's that well known outside the film circles. A guy called Bill Little, really lovely guy. He's been in Braveheart and all these kind of films, Train Spotting. And at the end last night I was sitting, I would never met this guy. There's no way my sphere of influence would have met his in a million years, but he wanted to come to us. It's been marvellous. So part of my whole thing for my show is just networking, constantly networking, and I get artists all the time, just on my daily sending me music, which gives me a real kick. I really enjoy. This is the first time this is played anywhere out with that band.
I can see it kind of goes back to your experience with the vinyl when you're little, kind of the discovery.
Oh, see, I never did that link before. Yes.
Just kind of the new stuff. You think there's, I've not ever heard this before, and now it's kind of nobody else has ever heard this before. So I guess the same emotions are in play in both parts.
It's quite interesting, actually. Yeah, it's almost like having the band or the artists come into the studio and I interview them. It's like, it's back to the vinyl. I've got something I can see, interesting. It's and it's interactive, which thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yes, I think my show's suffered though. For running the station, my show has definitely suffered. I don't have the time. Maybe before I would do a show on a Monday, and almost straight away I'd be like, what's tomorrow? No, do that. Yeah, I could do that in a couple of hours, and then I'd put out my pre-recorded stuff at 8 o'clock at night, the extra sessions. It was great, and again with the computers you can do that. Just line it up, click. I can walk away. I didn't have to sit there all the time. I wasn't sitting in front of a computer all day every day. The other things to do. But running a station has been a joy, and it's been a nightmare as well. So I'm starting to be better with my time, and I'm concentrating more on my show again, and I feel I'm enjoying it more than I was maybe for about 6 months. There's this period where it was just so much was happening. The station basically, how do I say this? Say it nicely. I always felt it was like trust issues. I don't know if anybody's experienced this. If you start a business, you feel you've got to be on top of everything.
Micromanage everything.
Micromanaging, yes. And I didn't know I was doing it till someone pointed out that I had to stop because I was killing myself.
It's always the case, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't witness what you're doing until you realise I'm either really tired or burnt out, or someone's told me that I need to get my finger out of where they're trying to do
Yes.
their work. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So in the early days, if anyone said anything bad,
Yeah.
it'd been Facebook. I was
Instantly
on it. I was, and a big explanation why I was doing something, and that was taking up so much time. And I think I kind of fell out with some people in the local scene because
Right.
I think with hindsight I could have handled it better. I could have been more diplomatic and smooth, but I was in there. What are you saying? What are you saying? K-Radio's, we were not trying to do anything, blah, 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 blah. And I think they went, whoa. So about this time last year, I was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. But I had one. The good friend in America I've talked to online for years, he bought me a couple of tickets, one ticket. And I went to America for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I just chilled.
Just get away.
Forgot about it. Left the station in charge of guys now become a good friend, Scott. At the time, he probably wasn't. Just someone that was there. And so I left it and I went to America and thought, if I come back and it's still there, yeah, whatever. If it's not there, whatever. But I did a lot of thinking, just totally chilled, and came back and it was still there. And it took me a few months to get the foot back in the pedal because I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be that overbearing person.
Okay.
So I let it kind of slide a wee bit. But the guys there, they kind of picked it up. Scott's definitely picked it up and started going with it and going with it. And then the place we were in, we were looking to expand in. It was a big building, empty. We'd this wee room. And we started looking into expanding. And it was starting to catch on again with me. And we'd done a survey and found there was asbestos in the ceiling tiles, which wouldn't really be a problem unless they were disturbed. Except a few weeks earlier there had been a burst pipe upstairs and the ceiling had come down. Not in our area, but next door. Yeah. So we were looking to buy this, and the expert came along and he kind of, oh, right, so what happened here? A burst pipe a couple of weeks ago, and he started backing out. I'm out of here. I got a phone call later that day from our landlord, and he said, you have to be out, health and safety, you've got to vacate. So in 3 days we moved everything from our wee room. A phone call for a friend made, and we got the place we're in now. Right. And now I can see the potential really kicking in. It's just growing. Like I said earlier, I don't know how we've done any work, because you can imagine half this small room we're in, which is 12 foot by 8 foot, and at half that, and then when there's two people on the other side, there was no way of getting work done. So I was taking work home, and I think that added to the stress. And it wasn't the greatest, but you know what? It was fun. It was, apart from the stress I was putting on myself, it was fun to look back and some of the people it's been in. It's been cool. And now, wow, we have a drum kit. We have a pool table. When I was young, I always wanted a drum kit and I always wanted a pool table. Don't know why. Well, now I've got them.
Dreams do come true.
Yeah, just about.
I was wondering, kind of, obviously K-Radio relies on a lot of volunteer DJs and such. So, like, how does your relationship work to them? How do they contact you to ask for a slot?
People's asking all the time for slots. I reckon since October 2011 when we started, I haven't kept its precise numbers in this, though I remember everyone. Right. I think we must be about 150 to 200 DJs have been through. Right. A lot of them have been students who came to us because they have to do a radio show for their course, which when we set up we knew there was going to be this turnover every year. But some of them have stayed with us. One or two are like, I love this. What I do find is when people come to K-Radio, they tend to want not to leave. There's three of us that are me, Scott and Connor, and if we could have a bed and a shower, we would not go home, ever. It is the most wonderful just to be involved in the music industry. I'd like to think we're giving people a chance to step into the music industry. Yeah. And if somebody goes on and be the next Ali McRae or whatever, I love their picture on the wall and pointing to it. Look, they started here. Yeah. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
So you mentioned kind of the playlist process as well is kind of obviously personal with each DJ is different. Is there sort of is there a formal way? Do you have to ask for tracks, or do you just let them do what they want?
Well, what we've done for the beginning, and what I hope continues, is we leave the DJs much. If you came in and said, "I want a show," I'll say, "What kind of genre is it?" And it doesn't matter. We've had industrial music. I don't know if you've heard that. It's very specialised, I would say.
Yeah, not very specific.
Yeah, very much. It does sound like a factory I used to work in, to be honest. For a while, somebody would enjoy that. We've got a young girl just now, Maggie. She's very much into what's in the charts, and that fits. You got a few shows like my own where it's people are just going out and searching for new music, and new music finds you. You don't have to search after a while. People know, you're in a show, here's my music, play my music. So getting content is actually the easiest part.
Right.
But I don't want it to ever be where, right, here's a playlist, you play that, you do that. What we'll do is say, hey, you heard this? Do you want to play this on your show? Some say yes, some don't. Especially the new stuff. Because it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people like the familiarity of like the old classics. Well, I prefer to play Queen or whoever. But I don't want it to be a station where here's a set playlist and you will play this. Commercial reality maybe come into this, but we advertise we're 50% new music.
Right.
That means 50% can be non-new music.
Yeah.
So it's quite a wide field. I am finding more as we get advertisers wanting to advertise. They want to know what's the music. Is people going to listen? And it's a hard sell. Well, my show, I'm going to be playing Sonic Temple or Sean Kennedy, and they're like, who? I don't know. But I've kind of come over, personally, I've overcame that, and people will say, no, I want to be on your show, because I don't know, just the networking and stuff.
Seems to be kind of the different reasons behind it. Like a lot of obviously traditional radio stations, either be it local or national radio stations, obviously have large playlist committees, and they put it all together because it's proven track record of chart music gets the most number of people listening, whatever. If people even do indeed listen for music on those stations, but when you kind of remove that, when you take the chart, when you take the predictable kind of approach out of it, they have to look for something else. So they look for the DJ, they probably look for audience figures, etc. But just
right. I've actually been in a few meetings this week about this. As we get bigger and as we get more well known, there is more focus now on how many people are listening. How can we sell that to this person?
Right.
This is where the artistic, and this is life, I suppose. The artist who will just do what they want because it's what they feel, and how do we pay for it? And I've got to somehow marry the two up. I don't want it to become a commercial station. I don't want it to be playing. I'll not mention any artist in particular, but who's at number 2 at the moment. If you and your show want to play that, go ahead. But I'd rather just grow the radio station where people go, right, they are on the button, they're playing what is coming through, what's going to be tomorrow's number 2, number 1. That's a hard gig though, to sell that to other people.
Well, there's no rules, there's no hard and fast rules to say this is how you do it.
In business though, they like you say, they want to,
they want proof,
yeah, if you're up against the local radio stations who are churning out same 23 songs every day, and they're getting 20,000 people a day listening in, it's hard for me to justify to having a business that, okay, we've maybe only got 10% of that listening a day. And they're like, well, why don't? So we've got to offer a package. Well, it's obviously cheaper to advertise with us. But they're like, oh, well, not so many people are hearing it. But I'm hoping that K Radio is getting a reputation out there for, what's the word I'm looking for? It's got integrity. And that takes a long time to build.
No,
You don't get that off. You don't just start on tomorrow. Oh, you're very good. When we're there 3, 4, 5 years, still keeping true to the initial aims, I think I'm hoping's the word probably, that businesses will be coming to us and saying, I'm actually seeing that now. Oh, right. I think a lot of businesses the first year said, are you going to still be there at Christmas?
Yeah.
Now we've done 2 Christmases now. Are you going to be there after the first year? Well, we're over our first year. So what's the next? Is it 18 months? Is it 2 years? And people are starting to, you're still there. And what we're trying to do is just, if you go to a gig, you see K Radio.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a matter of we're taking over or anything. It's just letting people know there's something else out there, rather than this manufactured.
Yeah. No,
I don't know the word I was going. It's probably going to swear there, but actually, it annoys me. Actually, I do now dip into the charts every so often and go, wow, no, it annoys me. It really does. Especially when there's better artists out there that get no recognition.
Yeah.
One of the things in my business plan for K Radio was we'll start this in Kilmarnock, and it maybe inspire somebody to do it in here, in Motherwell, and do it in well, not so much the cities because they're kind of covered by stations, but there's about 23, I think it is, towns in Scotland who have got population over 30,000, and then it's about 60,000 in the catchment area. I thought, imagine, not K Radio, not ours, but our K Radio in all these towns, and they've all got a thriving music scene. Inverness, Motherwell, you know.
Although after that stage,
You imagine the
feed off each
underground
other, yeah.
swell, and it's happening. It is happening.
Yeah.
I see Kingdom FM had 15 minutes a week dedicated to new music, and the DJ had to kind of quickly just wee snippets and get over to this gig, and well, it went to an hour.
Yeah.
Now the people doing that have now moved to another station where they get 2 hours a week to just play new music, and don't want to be what it was all our doing, but I'd like to think we're helping push.
No, certainly part of it.
We're a small part of a bigger push. Excuse me. I feel it's like punk. It's punk coming through. The real punk just happened. It happened in the young people, and it pushed through, and it got to a stage where the big companies couldn't ignore it. So then they took it and basically watered it down and dismantled it. But that led to the new wave movement, where a lot of great artists come through in the 80s.
For sure.
And probably inspired people at Oasis. Yeah.
You obviously mentioned like keeping your integrity and stuff like that. I guess you said you don't owe anybody any money, which is obviously a very beneficial position.
Not through K Radio. You just said that, and somebody's listening. You owe me. No. Through K Radio,
No,
the
I
business
know.
doesn't.
Yeah,
We
for
don't.
sure.
We don't have loans out with anyone, and it's
Right,
made
right.
it hard. It would have been so much easier. We'd have probably been further down the line with better equipment and stuff. We've moved into the new place, and we have to find the money to build a soundproof booth.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's all open. I know some DJs actually love that. They love this interaction with everyone in the room.
Right.
Other people get put off. So our next aim is to raise the funds to build a soundproof room. It's definitely been harder, but I think when we look back, someday we'll go, wow, what a ride.
Well, you look at how traditional startups begin, and they normally begin by taking on a couple 100,000 worth of debt as first step, and you think that would scare me. I'm sure it scares you.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you've obviously taken the harder road.
It's a very, very hard road, but I think if I'd started this when I was like early 20s, I'd have been at the bank, give me money, yeah, we're going to do this, and then 30 years later I'll still be paying it off.
A lot of patience involved.
Yes, it's something I've not ever really had, to be honest, patience. I'm very impatient. I want to be there tomorrow, and it is frustrating because I can see where the radios can go.
Yeah.
I guess this is back to my upbringing, don't boast. But I want K Radio to be more than a radio.
Yeah.
We're actually now talking about doing some TV, if you like. Probably start on YouTube and stuff. I want it to be the biggest media company in Scotland, and I'm not going to put a figure on it. I want it to be the biggest media company. I want to influence. See, this is very against the grain for me. I want it to influence in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
The music scene in Scotland, because we've got a vibrant one. I was watching Rap Hour last night in BBC Alba,
Yeah.
and most of the bands on it, I'm like, yeah, I've played them.
Yeah.
Brown Bear and Anna Sweeney are on it next week.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I gave all those people their first airplay anywhere.
Nice.
And that gives me more of a kick in, and it's not, oh, look at me, I'm so good. I'm just sitting going, wow, yeah. And I see them now on TV.
Yeah.
And the next step for them will be on the mainstream. And if I never get a penny out of this whole thing, when I'm in my dotage and sitting in some nursing home, I'll be like, and Brown Bear or Anna Sweeney or whoever are the biggest stars on the planet.
Big stadium tours and
Big stadium tours,
tour
I'll be like,
buses and
I knew them before they were.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit flippant, but no, I get a kick. If somebody sends me an album, here's a band, Worse Than Mo, here's a new EP, and I made him a artist of the day, and I do that a lot. I was buzzing playing it. Yeah, this is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just released it today, and I'm playing it. And they're on there going, oh, this is great, and the whole feel good factor, and it's great stuff as well. It's not just I'm playing somebody because I can. It's because it's good.
when you think about all the stages involved in kind of in taking it even from the band recording and such, obviously technology advancing has allowed you to every stage of it to expand and get bigger and more professional and etc. And it's, you know, it's a wonderful thing. I hope it continues. You obviously mentioned where you'd like to take K Radio in the future, so that's no lack of ambition on your part. I'm very excited to see.
Yes, if hard work and long hours mean success, then we'll get there. But there's no guarantee. Like, you know, it's again, it's back to that thing. I have a vision. When I first done the business plan, I thought this could work because of the numbers involved in advertising. Very cheap advertising per advert. It hasn't materialised, so that's why but 2 years ago, sitting here, I'm going to make millions because it worked. I had 576 ad slots a day to fill, and if I filled them all with even like £10 an advert, it worked out at 2.2 million turnover. This is easy. No, it's not. Business people tend to be a bit older, so they were like, internet? What's that about? Who's listening to that? They don't get it. 2, who are you? What are you playing? So I've had to have a reality check and realise it's going to take me a bit longer than 3 months to make my 2 million.
No, for sure. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. So.
Oh, that's a nice song. Yeah, that's 2 things you've done for me today. Thanks. Dreams big enough they don't scare you. God, they scare me.
You give us some time, and we'll give you some stuff back.
They also scare the hell that like I don't know if I can do this. Every day I'm like.
Oh, every day you prove you can do it, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I've had people tell me that. What we have done, we've diversified. We've had to think outside the box because the businesses aren't flocking to my door. Yeah. It's hard work. I'm not a salesperson. I'm an ideas person. Yeah. And some people go, oh, I enthuse people about K Radio. Yeah. But see, if I was to put a contract on the table, that's when people go, don't know, let me think about it. So that's where a salesperson is needed, I think. We've thought of the box. Now we think, myself and Scott especially, we've been between us about 26 years experience in the music industry. Yeah. And we thought, why don't we use that to fund K Radio? So we're in the process. A week on Saturday we'll be taking over the entertainment of a venue in Ayr. Used to be Firehouse. Right, yeah. We've invited some girl at Crumbs, where she'd done music and I had provided PA for her. She contacted me and said, look, I want to move my cafe there. It's going to be licensed. I've no clue about entertainment. So we thought about it, and K Radio we're going to be providing entertainment there 6 nights a week. Well, 7 nights a week, but we're talking about taking Monday off. And still run the radio station for Kilmarnock.
Well, you don't go back to your breakdown again with working too hard. So
Yeah, I always feel on the verge of breakdown. You see these shadows? Last night, coming here today, this is very early in the day for me. Very early. I usually get to sleep about 6 in the morning and sleep to about midday. And then that's if I'm lucky.
well,
Sometimes it's about 4
thanks for
hours.
making an exception.
No, thanks for asking.